Hello and welcome back to 128KB. We're in the room of the games.
Yeah.
Because we have just finished playing Metroid on the NES, the NES. And I'm going to refer to this as the Metroid of pain and suffering because it is so hard.
It's savage.
Like savagely hard.
Savagely hard. 1986.
And that, first of all, I was surprised it was so early on. 1986.
Yeah, I know. We were thinking like late 80s. Yeah,
90.
Yeah. Not 86.
I was surprised there was such a huge gap between Metroid and then Super Metroid. I guess there was a Game Boy one in between.
Yeah, I think the Game Boy one was 88, I think it was. Maybe 89.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So if you're intrigued, you can play Metroid on the NES Classic or the NES Mini, which was their re-released console a couple of years back, which is how we played it and streamed it as well.
Yeah. Straight to the telly, so nice and big.
Yeah, nice HDMI output. So, what was your first thoughts and feelings after finishing what's a savagely hard game? We didn't finish it. We got about an hour in.
Yeah. We did a couple hours, didn't we? I think it was hard, like harder than I was expecting, but
Definitely.
then I cheated because I started playing Zero Mission, the Game Boy Advance 2004 remake.
Yeah.
Before we started playing Metroid, like only just like a week before or something. So I was like, yeah, it'll be fine. It's very different.
And the contrast between Metroid and Super Metroid, the mechanics, the learning curves and stuff is like apparent, isn't it?
Oh, massively different.
Like the NES version, there is no easing you in. You are just in it.
Yep.
And it's hard from the start.
Yep. And there's no holding your hand.
No.
Nothing. It's just like drop, bye.
There's
like,
enemies, figure it out.
There's nothing. There's no like you should try and get to this area one day, or you need to upgrade stuff. Like you need to find stuff to be able to progress through maps that you get stuck on. There's nothing. Like there's no help.
It's something I wonder if it came slightly later on in game development, but normally there is like a learning curve thing that the game developers take you on.
Yes.
That a game starts off very easy and there'll be little clues on how to do things. They'll set things up to teach you.
Yeah.
And then progressively make it harder.
Yeah, and then you have to recall those.
And
like,
I wonder with Metroid if, because the map is non-linear, that they felt like they just had to make it hard from the start because you're going to be going back to these places later on.
Yeah, I imagine so. I mean, the fact that when you leave a room and then re-enter, all enemies have respawned. So no matter how difficult it was to get through, if you then progress through like several corridors to what you think is the right direction, you might hit a brick wall because you don't have the ability yet. Yeah. Then you have to turn around and you have to survive, make it all the way back again to then try and take a different route that could then be the correct place. But like you said, because it's non-linear, it really makes you sort of think, because it's not just like mind-numbingly going right all the time.
Or up or down.
Yeah. It's everywhere. It's open world, essentially.
Yeah, so, I think that's fair. It's probably one of the first of that type. Obviously, that whole Metroidvania kind of thing spawned around these games.
Definitely.
But yeah, for that kind of freedom to go where you like, it's definitely one of the first. Looking at the control mechanics of it and the kind of quality of life in the game.
Yeah.
Firstly, I'll say if you're playing it in 2021, definitely use a SNES or an NES controller. Something with digital-only buttons, a D-pad and an A and B button.
Yeah.
You'll be suffering hard with an analog stick.
If anyone's playing it on the Switch via the online membership, which it is available on there for free, so if you do have a membership, you can play it there. But if you're doing that, do not use a control stick. An analog
pro controller.
Yeah. Use a D-pad. Like you will need it because the core gameplay, and the core sort of fundamental moves and skill set you can only really pull off with like classic controls.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, being that D-pad and stuff. So the NES controller, for instance, is amazing. And if you're lucky enough to have a NES, wireless controller for the Switch, that's the way to do it.
You say that because you're in pain, suffering about not picking one up when they were out, and now they're just scalped.
Yeah, and they're just not available.
How does it make you feel that there's a NES controller above your head?
Yeah.
It's not a Switch one, obviously.
No, I know, but it's nice. Yes. I like it.
But once you get beyond having to use a digital controller, and I was using the SNES, the SNES controller.
Yes, yeah.
For it, because they work in both the SNES Mini and the NES Mini. Once you get over using a digital controller, the controls themselves for a game that was released in 1986, I thought incredible.
Yeah, amazing. Like, especially like we were saying, because of that open world nature and the fact that there's so many different enemy types that have different sort of like patterns and way that they can traverse the map as well. It's so varied, and the fact that there's all those different rooms, like that open world sort of thing, for 1986, like, is a masterpiece.
Yeah, we're talking 35 years ago.
Yeah.
That's insane. Of course, you are going to find it limiting in some ways. Even if you've come from some of the other Metroids, like, say, Super Metroid, if you're used to playing that on SNES Mini or the Switch Online, or on the Game Boy Advanced or whatever, the controls are limited, and you do have to get used to that, and the graphics are obviously limited, and you do have to get used to it.
Yeah.
But we're talking about retro games anyway, so hopefully your overlooking graphics is a reason to pick a game.
Yeah.
You're going to be looking at the experience once you're in it.
But it is punishing in terms of, because it's old.
Yes.
Like, you have to be spot on with your movements. Like, you have to be so precise.
Yeah, the hit markers for jumps and stuff.
Yeah.
You get it slightly wrong. Like, you get it like a couple of pixels wrong.
I was going to say, 1 or 2 pixels out, like maybe even to the pixel. Like, if you miss a platform because you jumped like 1 pixel too late or whatever, that's it. And then you could plummet down and hit an enemy or whatever, which could be your last bit of life. And then it starts you all the way back.
I was just going to get to that as well, yeah. And that's... I don't know if it's because games of that era still held on to the arcade kind of roots.
Yeah.
Or if it just was designed to be massively punishing. But if you die, and we're talking you have 1 life.
Yes.
If you die, you're at the start of the game again. You're not start of a zone, start of a level.
Yeah, or where you just died or anything.
Yeah, you're at the start of the game. The one upside to that, no, I'll say there's 2 upsides. They do have a password system, like games of that era did.
Yes, yeah.
And you do start again with any abilities that you've captured.
That's
so the
it.
morphing ball or rockets, whatever it is.
Devastated when we first died, and we were like, oh my god, we've literally lost everything. And then we realized, hang on, we still got our rockets, we still got like the morph ball bombs, and stuff like that. And we're like, okay, it's not that bad. But you do then have to remember the paths you've taken to get back to wherever you were. So
and all those enemies are back.
Oh yeah. Everything's back. But because it's open world, and because it's 1986, it's very similar looking, isn't it? So there's a lot of corridors up and down and left and right. So you kind of got to go, okay, I went right first, then up like 3 levels, then I took the first left, and then, or whatever, do you know what I mean? And then you have to try and remember that just to get back to where you died. And that might not even be the right way anyway.
The level of complexity to the maps, I know we've touched on it a little bit, but it's beyond being an open world. I would say it's more of a open labyrinth.
Yeah. No, I think that's a pretty good description.
And the hard part about it being a maze all the way through is, like you say, the design from one zone to the next, or even one room to the next, might be nearly identical.
Oh, yeah.
In how it visually looks. And all the sprites for the enemies are all pretty similar and tend to be laid out in kind of similar patterns.
Yes, yeah.
Which is why I imagine this game gets speed ran so quickly, because it's just a pattern to everything. But yeah, it gets very disorientating very quickly. You'll find yourself in dead ends all the time.
Yeah. And then, go on.
And then, like you said, then if you die, you got to try and remember exactly what you did. It's definitely, as a kid, the kind of game that I would have played with a pen and paper.
Yeah.
I'm mapping myself out here.
Exactly. And I was just about to say that, is you might get stuck because you might have unlocked an ability, but you might not know what it's for, or B, you might forget that the left block 3 blocks down in room 1 that was like 20 rooms ago was you have to go into a morph ball, blow up a bomb, and then it will go, oh, you need a special thing to hit this one. It won't be obvious. You don't just walk past it and go, I know I need to go there. You have to physically go around trying to blow stuff up.
I mean, a really good example of it is the morphing balls are the first thing you get that will destroy parts of the map themselves. They'll destroy blocks. Breakable blocks. And there's an area of the map that you have to descend through that's got these breakable blocks that's right at the start. But you don't get the morphing bombs until you've traversed a whole load of the map to the right and down.
Yeah.
And now you have to go all the way back to the start, which is really counterintuitive to gaming in general, which was what makes it interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It felt, I'll be honest, it did feel like a bit of a grind once we kept dying because it's so hard.
Yeah, especially because those controls are so limited. You can't crouch and shoot.
No crouch shooting, no diagonal shooting.
No diagonal shooting. You start with like your arm cannon of Samus only shoots like a foot in front of you. So you have to then unlock the like long range shoot.
Which is insane.
Yeah, and so it's very sort of, when you start, it's so hard.
Yeah.
But as soon as you've got a few power-ups, it does get easier.
Yeah, you can fly through the earlier parts of the map easier for some.
Yeah.
So, who's it for then today? Is it a game you would recommend everyone plays? Where do you put it?
I wouldn't recommend everyone to play it because I certainly think younger generation will just not know where or what to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there is a certain generation that I think will just play 10 minutes of it and go, I have no idea what I'm doing. And then get stuck and then just rage quit, essentially.
It's probably not the best first experience of Metroid.
Yeah.
If you're someone who's waiting for Dread to come out, this isn't the place to jump in, even though chronologically it is.
Yeah. And even though it's like free on Switch,
I mean, if you've got a Wii U, Zero missions available.
Yeah.
That's probably a good place to start. It's the same story.
Yeah.
But much better mechanics and graphics. Probably a little bit easier. I would say Super Metroid.
Yeah.
The third version, the third installment in the story.
Yeah.
Lovely place to start.
That's if you're only going to play one Metroid game before Dread, Super Metroid, I'd say.
Yeah.
Or if you've got a Wii U, like one of 13 million people in the world, which is not very many.
No, it's not.
Then just ignore all of it and do Fusion.
Okay.
Which is number 4 in the series.
Yeah.
So like the newest one. Even though it's 20 years old. So Super Metroid, because it's so easily accessible.
Yes.
If not, Fusion.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I think that kind of wraps it up.
Yeah, of our thoughts on number 1. Yeah, definitely.
Metroid on the NES. So thanks for watching this. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe wherever you find us to see more from the Room of Games.
Definitely.
We are 128 KB across all the places, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and make sure you check out the website on 128kb.co.uk. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.